I am your host, Leah Dunlap, and you are listening to the Oracle on Purpose podcast, where we help intentional leaders clarify their purpose and next steps to create a work and life of significance. Welcome to the Oracle on Purpose podcast, where we help intentional leaders clarify their purpose and next steps to create a work and life of significance. I'm your host, Leah Dunlap. Today, I am honored to bring an amazing, ambitious, fearless leader who is ready to show you how to build confidence in the face of fear. My guest today is Bisi MacGregor. Bisi is an expert in mastering and transcending internal fears, an award-winning international speaker, TEDx speaker, and results-focused facilitator. With a corporate finance career of over 2 decades, she overcame the challenges, demands, and politics of corporate and answered the calling of her soul. Love that. She's the founder of the Fear to Freedom and the creator of Live More, Fear Less method. Bisi works with individuals to disrupt the status quo of their mindset so they discover and reconnect to the powerful parts of themselves that have been buried or lost. She connects deeply on her multicultural background, a recent Georgian resident, yet a Jersey girl at heart with deep Nigerian roots. She enjoys meditating, nature walks, traveling the world, breakfast. Ooh, I love that. I'm a big breakfast fan. And playing auntie to her 8 nieces and nephews. Welcome to the show, Bisi.
Thank you so much, Leah. Thank you. I'm super excited to be here today.
I am so glad you're here. Another piece of this wonderful synchronicity is that Bisi and I are joined together in another mastermind group that we both belong to. And I was delighted to see her name pop up as someone to be on the show, because I know personally how amazing she is. And the fact that when you sit and hear Bisi, which you'll hear a little bit more of, I'm sure, as she continues to speak, you could really listen to her for hours. So, I mean, I'm going to talk very little today's show because of that beautiful voice and the wonderful wisdom. And clearly, I love the energy that you put through when you speak, because I really do feel your heart in all that you share. And one of the things that I like to ask all of my guests, because I think it's important in the world today, especially for people to really feel like they're doing their true work. And most of my clients, most of my listeners, they're entrepreneurs or business leaders who are really trying and striving to do work that's built upon their purpose. So I'm curious, how do you find alignment with your purpose? And accordingly, you've already said in the intro here, we talked about your corporate background. So how do you find alignment with your purpose and business genius in your work today, Bisi?
What a loaded question. And I love it. How do you find your purpose and alignment? I love that. Whoa. So yes, I did have, my background is corporate finance. And at that point, that was my purpose in there whilst I was in there. But I also knew there was more. I played in finance. That's where I was. That's where I lived. I call myself a corporate baby, finance baby. And yet there was something more. And what I found to be a common thread in all of the years I spent in corporate was that I loved the development of people. And I was almost always the go-to person to speak about an issue, to talk someone through what's going on. Like, I'd have people at my door, hey, David sent me to talk to you. You don't know me, but I'm from blah, blah, blah division. I say, what is going on? So I think there was really one of the biggest moments for me that this is part of your purpose. Because once in one simple conversation, I find that people expand with me.
I love that. And I definitely feel that that's true. And that's part of why I was so excited that you were going to be on the show, because I too understand that we can, when we are really on purpose, I like to say, just like success leaves clues, purpose leaves clues. Yeah. And the fact that people were naturally drawn to come to you and speak to you. I had that same experience as a young person when, you know, people were sending friends of friends, and at the end of the time frame in school, I was getting strangers walking up to talk to me because they had heard that if they did, you know, have these conversations, they could get help. So I completely respect and honor that that's one of those clues that we get from the universe that we're going the right way, I like to say. So as you moved, I'm curious, because you said, you know, you did move out of the corporate world. What was it that helped you to make that decision or take that leap from the corporate fold into entrepreneurship? I'm just curious.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's so funny, even though you do find those clues that purpose leaves, and you have that inkling that, wow, I think this is it. I'm doing the right thing. I'm where I'm meant to be. There's something else though, when you're physically not in that space, because I'm waking up and going to this job that is corporate, that is finance, and nothing to do with what my quote unquote purpose is. It requires a significant amount of courage and bravado to say, you know what, I think it's time for me to surrender to this purpose.
Yes. Surrender to this purpose. I love that. Yes.
It takes quite a bit. So what helped me? Really plugging myself in communities that were in alignment with my purpose. You know, whilst I wasn't corporate, I ended up signing up for a year's course to get certified as a life coach because it was pulling me. It was pulling me. I remember life had thrown everything at me, right? And one day, so I'd taken an international assignment for about 2 years and kind of came back with my head hanging low. And this was very, very uncommon, an uncommon place for me to be, because I was always the star, you know, the high achiever. And then all of a sudden I'm leaving this assignment, and it didn't quite turn out the way anyone wanted it, the organization as well as me. So I walked the hallways with my head hung low. However, what I do in retrospect now, I think those were all knocks and calling for my purpose.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Right. I love, yeah. And it's that thing where I believe you're right. Like people that from the outside, it looks like you have it all together and you should be so thrilled, but something inside of you, like you said, is calling like, there's something off here.
Yeah.
And yes, I think that the universe, as many people have heard me say before, gives us these little nudges, then a little tap. And then, you know, if you're not really paying attention, you get one of those 2x4 moments where you have to come to the table and really face something big. So I'm curious what, you know, you talk about that, and it does take courage to really look at that. So tell me, as you've moved through that process, and you've obviously moved into this wonderful realm that you're in today, how has your work now had a positive impact on the world? Because I feel that the callings that we get are there to help us really deliver that. So for you, if you think back to those moments when you made that choice and to stand in that courage, how is what you're doing now having a positive impact on the world?
Oh my goodness. Oh, I think about that and I just relax in full gratitude, because even when it was a little bit of a nudge, right? Whilst I was in corporate and I said, okay, I'll try and do it. Even whilst I was there, I started to answer the call. So things started to unravel, and thank God for grace. Because whilst I was there, you know, I'm able to help people. You know, it was whilst I was there, I was afforded the opportunity to do a TEDx talk in New York City, you know, just following those nudges up until me leaving and being able to speak on stages around the world on different continents and waking people up to their purpose, what they are called to, you know, leading them to this space where they see, okay, I think life is possible for me. I don't need to continue just breathing. I can actually live, you know? So today my world is filled with that, you know, be it a mother who has taken care of everybody but her, has forgotten that she even exists. you know, and to an entrepreneur who is just, it's all about their business, or that corporate professional who was like me, climbed the ladder, had the six figures, the corporate office, but it was like, the six figures and a bonus just quite isn't enough anymore.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing when you get to the point where you see the reality of that phrase, like really in that case, money isn't everything, right?
No.
And we do have to then look at what are we afraid of that's keeping us stuck in that trap. So I know that, you know, we started off here by talking about how to build the confidence in that face of that fear, because obviously having to make that decision to finally change,
Yeah.
that's what it looks like. So tell us, how do you speak to that? How do we build that confidence in that face of that fear?
So there's a process I walk my clients through, and I will endeavor to do that on here, which I walk myself through it at this as well. It's funny, I like to tell people that I've had 3 divorces, and there aren't all men, and neither are they all women. There's one man, yes, and my corporate job, and then the last one really was from my old self. My old self who settled for all of those things, the relationship, the job that was sucking life out of me. But here's the thing, we as humans, as you know, Leah, we naturally are inclined to expand. We want to grow.
Absolutely.
Always, we want to grow, we want to expand. It is so natural for us, but life happens. Life happens, and then we create this little bubble for ourselves called our comfort zone. And so many people are kind of confused about this comfort zone. Just because it's called comfort does not mean it's nice, fuzzy, and rosy in there. No, many people feel trapped in there, like I was in my corporate job, like I was in my marriage. Many people are trapped in their relationships. Many people are trapped in this identity that has been bestowed upon them that they did not subscribe to. So we're constantly fighting to get out of this comfort zone because naturally we want to expand, but yet something says, wait, it's not safe for you to move out there. It's not safe for you to move out there. So I walk my clients through a beautiful tool that I learned from one of my mentors, Rhonda Britton. It's called Stretch, Risk, or Die.
Ooh, I love that. Oh my gosh. Stretch, risk, or die.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's how it works. You draw out 3 concentric circles. So think about a bullseye and 2 circles around it. So it's going to be big, bigger, biggest. That centerpiece, that bullseye, is your comfort zone. It's life as it is right now. So when you're thinking about an area of your life you want to shift, a goal you're wanting to achieve, draw out, just paint out, what does your comfort zone look like? What does it look like for you? I wanted to leave corporate, but what was I doing? I was going back to corporate every day. I wasn't having conversations with people. That was my comfort zone. Then the stretch zone is the next level of fear, right? This is where we build our self-esteem. This is where we build our self-confidence. This is also where we beat ourselves up the most. Why? Because it contains the things that you know you can do. They're easy to do. You just don't do them.
Oof, there it is. The things that are easy to do, but you just don't do them. That is a nugget straight from the words and the mouth of Bisi MacGregor. So hold on to that one. I love that. That's the stretch. I love
Because
it.
what happens is, right, you get home the next at night, you recount your day and you say, oh, I can't believe I didn't make that phone call again. I can't believe I didn't finish my water. I know I can. Everybody else is doing it. I know I can, but so this is where you build your self-esteem and beat yourself up the most. So what I tell my clients to do is come up with 3 things, 3 simple sub steps with regards to achieving the goal that you want to achieve, the area of your life you want to shift. What are 3 simple steps you can do? That's it, just 3. Now the next level, the next ring is the risk zone. Now the risk zone carries a little bit of weight that I don't know if I can do this. It might fail, it might succeed. I have no idea if I can actually do this. However, it may be a necessary step for you to take in order to reach or achieve that goal that you want, right? So one of the big steps for me was to literally go to my HR and say, I think I am done here. You know, that took courage because for me it was, you're going to be leaving the six figures and the bonus, okay?
Yeah.
What happened to your mortgage?
Yes, the infamous golden handcuffs, right? Yeah, I love it.
So
Yeah.
all you do is come up with two things in that risk zone.
Okay.
Now the last circle, all of that white space outside of the three circles is the die zone. And it feels just like that. It feels like, it's that thing when somebody says, Leah, why don't you come jump out of a plane with me? You say, are you out of your mind? People die doing that. I'm out of here. You're crazy. All you do is come up with one thing. And at one point, leaving, having the conversation with HR was a die for me, you know? So what happens is most people take their one goal and they lump it all up.
Right.
You're not associating, you're not assessing the levels of fear that are with those steps. And this is what we see at the beginning of months, quarters, New Year's, and we get 12 days into a new year. We're like, you know, forget that New Year resolution. I'm done.
Right. Yes, and that's so true. I think that piece right there that you just said, that's that point of self-sabotage, right?
Yes,
That we get over excited to have the goal achieved, and we set impossible levels of steps towards that we already know when we set them, as you just said, we're not going to do that. You know, I'm not going to jump out of the plane tomorrow. So maybe that was not the best plan of attack. I think that's so great. Yes.
And you mentioned that. Sorry, you did say yes. So you sabotage yourself to bring you right back into your comfort zone.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because as you said, and I think that that's such an important piece that you mentioned, I want to really highlight that, which is the idea that people think that the comfort zone is about comfort. And the comfort zone is, I like to, one of the things I tell people is it's a false sense of security.
Right.
Because you think, as you said, like you think that being safe in that zone is, you know, being in that zone is keeping you safe, except that, you know, as you mentioned, life is meant to grow. And anything that doesn't grow stagnates and dies. So it's like you're only perpetuating the very thing you're trying to avoid. So I think that's fabulous. I love that. So yes, safety to death. Oh my gosh, like what is that one step? That's something that is so powerful. And I think that, you know, sharing that with our listeners, I know you're out there listening to this thinking, wow, what is that one thing on that? I love how you said the white space outside of that last circle. It's like, wow, that's that possibility, right? That can look like anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, this is what happens with this tool, though, is forget about the risk and the die zone. Just forget about the risk and the die zone for now. Your job is to take those stretches. Remember those small steps right outside of your comfort zone. Those things you know how to do. You just don't do them. Just start taking those little steps. Now, here's what happens though. When you step out of your comfort zone, your fear is ignited because you are stepping out of familiar territory. And fear, for all intents and purposes, is the gatekeeper of your comfort zone. So it's going to speak to you in the language that you understand so that it can get you right back into your comfort zone. But what you get to do is you just get to see, and now that you've heard this, you're going to notice, oh, okay, I think that's why there's an excuse coming up. You know, okay, I see what's happening. That is fear. All you do is, I see you, thank you, and take your step. That's it. Take your step. You don't argue with fear. You don't justify, none of that. It's as smart as you are. It knows everything that you know. It's just as spiritual as you are. You're not going to pray it away. No.
Oh, I love it. You're not going to pray it away. Oh, good one. Yes, I love it.
So you get to just take that step. And one of the other steps that I really love to anchor in to my clients is when you take that step, I don't care how well you did in that step, acknowledge that forward movement. So if you sought out to run 2 miles because that's outside of your comfort zone, and you get out there and you ran 1.5 miles and ran back inside so that you won't be seen by the neighbors, acknowledge yourself. Because if you do think about it, how long has fear kept you trapped in your comfort zone where you are just settling, sabotaging yourself? Acknowledge yourself. And this is how we start creating these new neural pathways in our brains, this feel for ourselves that says, you can do this. You can do this. You begin expanding. And this is how you build confidence in the face of fear, just those baby steps, acknowledging yourself, speaking to fear. And I love to invite you to just look at fear as it's not that big stop sign. What if it's an affirmation of your growth?
Oh, I love that. Thank you. That's such a great reframe. Yeah. An affirmation of your growth.
Yeah.
Yeah. That it's signaling that you're on the outside of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
I love it.
The only time, right?
Yeah.
And that fear rears its head when it's something you haven't done, someone you haven't been. It's like, what are we doing here? So get excited. I'm growing.
I love it. Yes. And, speaking of growing, I think this is really, one of the key things. I work with people that are in their 40s and 50s and on, sometimes 35. But, by the time probably both of us have begun working with someone, they've spent a lifetime with some of these things, right? Like these are not new fears necessarily. So I know that we talked a little bit about before we hopped on the call. And so I want to talk to you because one of the biggest things I like to ask my guest is, what is your big vision for your work? And I know it ties right into this. So I think it's a great time to talk about that. What is your big vision for the work that you do in the world?
Simply put, I'll tell you a quick story. This year in February, I was in Nigeria for my live event, Theater Freedom Live. And then I ended up going to one of the high schools that I attended, to go speak to the 12th graders. So it was a hall filled with 250 girls.
Oh my gosh.
Ranged from 14 to 16 years old. And I just walked them through some things. And it was so, like, I'm even getting emotional just recalling that moment. And these girls have such huge hearts, such big visions for their lives. And as they say it, within the same minute, they crush it because they don't have an example, because their parents haven't been able to live out their dreams, because society has said, no, that dream you have isn't right. You ought to go this way. And to see them light up after speaking to them, to see them kind of return to their purpose, them seeing that, oh my goodness, I think there's a possibility here. That lit me up and has me like in goosebumps right now. So my big vision really is to build a generation of fearless children so that we're not healing this issue right now at 40, at 50, at 60.
Gosh, I'm getting the chills, as we like to say. The Oracle chills are coming because I know how potent and powerful that is, that we can shift society when we give these tools to people at a young age. So I admire you and I honor you in the way that your passion and your vision is truly meant to shift the world, and to do that through the individuals who are getting the chance to understand and to embrace an idea of fearless living, because you, Bisi MacGregor, exist and speak to it. So I want to give you the final word, and I know you have something to share with us, so I'll have you talk a little bit about that. But people are listening. I know they're now sitting at the edge of their seat and feeling very open to the concept of what life as a fearless person, woman, child might look like. So tell me, what's that last thing you want to make sure they hear from you, that you want to have them walk away with today?
For starters, if you're feeling that nudge, that tug on your heart, I want you to honor it and know that you can. Whatever it is, you can. I want you to lay on a bed of compassion, and I mean self-compassion. You've done the best you could with the tools that you have in your toolbox, with your resources, and it's okay. And I want you to then just look in the mirror and just get really honest with yourself. What do you desire? Honor that tug in your heart. Like, what is true for me right now? Be true to you before anyone else. And then ask yourself, well, what can I do to shift the situation today? Because you must take some kind of personal responsibility. Your life is your responsibility. It doesn't change by chance at all. So ask yourself those empowering questions. How can I show up differently? What can I do to shift this? Who do I need to be? And just move in the power of that. You got this. And we need you. We need you.
I love that. Thank you so much. Your life is your responsibility. And that's a blessing. That's a blessing. Yes. Right? So many people think that feels so heavy. And I know when I talk to my own clients about that, I say, don't you realize what a blessing that is? That means that at any given moment, you get to make it what you want it to be.
That's right.
Oh man, good stuff, Bisi. So tell us, I know that we have a link that we're going to be posting for you. And it's talking about, the Face Your Fear course. Tell us a little bit about that so people know. And I'm already going to say, get it, do it now. But I want you to share a little bit about what it is they'll be getting when they click on that link below.
Absolutely. So the Face Your Fear course is all about discovering the power, identifying what holds you back and what to do about it, so that you can go after what you desire. So in this course, you're going to figure out, you're going to get a quiz that helps you sort through who is in the driver's seat of your life. Is it you or is it your fears? You're going to get a deeper understanding of how you are wired and if it's hindering your growth and expansion. You're also going to get a cheat sheet, which I call your fear response cheat sheet, to help you better identify how your fear shows up. Because only when you are aware of a thing can you shift it. Otherwise, you're on autopilot.
Oh, we are not accepting any autopilots here.
No, we don't autopilot.
Definitely take advantage of that. Download Bisi MacGregor's gift for you. Get back in the driver's seat. Thank you, all of you, for listening and watching and showing up. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel to get more amazing connections of powerful people, women who are making a difference in the world today, following their own purpose. Because as I always say, remember, you are here on purpose. I'm Leah Dunlap, the Oracle on Purpose. Thanks so much for watching and listening to the show. We'll see you next time. Until then, be in your driver's seat.
Thanks for tuning in to the Oracle on Purpose show. If you found value in this episode, we'd appreciate you leaving a comment. Also, you can subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't yet. If you'd like to get clear on your highest vision and next steps, go to oracleonpurpose.com. See you next week.